Let's start. Let's start.
I can't see your face.
Yeah, let's start the today's topic with very important aspect, box model. Box model, CSS3 box model. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
CSS3 box model. Now, what do you mean by CSS3 box model? And before going to the box model, I would like to show you a few things. So let me create new folder, day 07. Correct? Today is the 7th day. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. And index.html. Index.html. And here I can say, sorry. And here I can create. Am I clearly audible?
Yes. Yes.
Am I clearly audible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, index.css I have created. HTML, these things. So meaning of these two lines presently you don't know, but you will get to know shortly. Box model. In a body, let's have a main tag and div, and here I can create one CSS new file app.css, and in app.css let's create a class. Let's create a class square, sqr. Width, here you can say 100 pixel, height 100 pixels, and background color you can say Bollywood. Okay, so link rel css, sorry, link rel css, and here we can say app.css. So presently css is in the current folder, that's why you don't need to give any path over here. Correct? Apply the class sqr. Apply the class sqr. Now let's open this in the finder. Open this in the finder, and what I will do, let's paste it. Can you see the color? So this is a square we have created. Now we need to see what do you mean by inspector. Right click, inspect. Okay, so presently this window will open over here, elements, under the elements tab. So important tabs are elements tab, console tab, and the network tab. For now, even network is not important for now, just element and console. Elements and the console presently are important, but in the future you will extensively use elements, console, and the network. Elements, console, and what? Network. You will use it extensively. So under the elements you will find all the elements, and can you see, if I hover cursor over, can you see this icon? Select an element, this icon. Can you see that? So what happens on this icon when you go over here and you hover over the cursor? Can you see? So this div, so this is the selected one. So whenever you go on the source, so first you will inspect. How you will inspect? Right click, inspect. You will go to the elements tab. Might be you might see the console by default, but you will select the elements tab. You will select this icon and then hover over the cursor. If you go to the main, that hole is the main, and then there is something called as div. this div. If you hover over here, if you hover the cursor on this div, or if you select this div, a concern element in the HTML would be getting selected. Correct? Even this is the live CSS editor. Can you see .sqr? You have created this, and browser have shown this CSS over here. Now you may want to change the width. You can change it from here, 300. Can you see width has been changed? Here also you can see 300. Here I can make 300. Can you see? A square of 300 by 300. A square of 300 by 300. Getting my point? So this will not impact in the actual source code. This will not impact on the actual source code, but it will impact just on the rendered HTML page. If you refresh it, it will go back. It will come to the default. Whatever source codes are there, it will show that part. Means before, if you want to check something, you can check into this editor also, this small editor as well. Correct? Okay. Now CSS3 box model. So today we are going to see CSS3 box model. What's the topic today? Box model. Correct. CSS3 box model. So one topic this we will see today, or just CSS box model, you can say box model. What is box model? Just a minute. What is box model? So when you say box model, let's have this box. Okay. Inside that, just a minute. Inside that, one more box. So what do you imagine from the box model, or what do you? This is one more box. Inside that we would be having one more box. Inside that one more box. And inside that there would be one more box. Okay. So here there goes something called as margin. Margin. Then here we have something called as padding. Margin, padding. Sorry, margin, padding would be here. Border. And this would be the border. Border. margin, padding, border, and your actual content. Now, whenever you create the content, immediately around the content, if something gets created, that is called as padding. So when you say I'm applying padding, it is around the content. When you say I'm applying the border, so border will always with the padding. So if there is a padding, and if you apply the border, that is along with the padding. Remember that. What do you mean by this? Let me show you by the code. So this is the blur wood. Now, if you say padding, say 10 pixels, padding 10 pixels. Now go here, and refresh it. Can you see here a little green color? Can you see this is the content? 100 by 100 is your box. Can you see this? Look at around the box. This much is only box. So if you see here, there are two colors you may find. Can you see this is the original content color, and can you see this is the border color? So whenever you say padding is around the content. Padding is, can you see this is the padding, and this is the box model. Whatever I have drawn, this is actually in effect. So 100 by 100 is your actual content. Around that, can you see this is the little green one, is a padding, and border will come around the padding, which means that if you try to apply the border, if I add a border over here, 1px solid red, 1px solid red, refresh it. Can you see there would be the border, but border would be around the padding. Can you see that? So if there is a padding, around the content, there would be little gap, and after that gap there would be 1px border. Correct? Now see, so far element has not been moved from its original space, because around the content there is a padding, around the content there is a padding, around the padding there is a border, and around the border there is a margin. Look at the margin. There is no margin. But if I add margin, you will feel that element has been shifted. See now, I will go here, margin from all four sides. Margin from all four sides. Padding from all four sides. So 15 pixels. 15 pixels. Refresh it. Can you see? You will actually element has not been moved. Element is in the same thing, but little bit 15 pixels. Can you see 15 pixels have been added from all four sides? So you will feel that the element has been shifted from its original location, right? If I remove the margin, and here, can you see, you will feel that element is little bit at the top left, but whenever you add the margin, and refresh it, you might feel that element has been shifted. Can you see? 15 pixels has been added over there. If you see this margin, this is the margin. From left hand side, there are the 15 pixels added. See here, from the top 15 pixels added, from the bottom 15 pixels added. So when you say box model, content, immediately around the content there would be padding. So whenever interviewer asks you a question, what do you mean by padding? Whenever interviewer will ask you a question, what do you mean by padding? So your answer should be, as per the box model, there is a little extra space around the original content. That thing is called as padding. Box model, the term box model is important. Okay, term box model is very important. So let's write that. Let's write over here. Under the CSS, it is very important to understand the box model. Box model. So when you say box model, the CSS box model, so let's add this thing, image, CSS box model. So when you say box model is a fundamental concept in the web design. The CSS box model is a fundamental concept in the web design that describes how elements on the web page are structured and how their dimensions are calculated. So what is the dimension is the next topic. So here we can say dimension units. This is the next topic we are going to see. Dimensions unit. What are the different dimension unit? We will see. But when you say box model, we are focusing on the box model right now. CSS3 box model is a fundamental concept in the web design that describes how elements on the web page are structured and how their dimensions are calculated. It defines how an element's content, padding, border, margin are laid out within the available space. The box model helps you understand and control the spacing and the sizing of the elements on the web page. Correct? Now, so CSS box model has four main components. CSS box model has four main components. First one, content. Second one, padding. Third one, border. Fourth one, margin. And what margin? Now, content means your actual element. Correct? The content is nothing but what your actual element. So this is the actual content of the HTML elements such as text, images, videos, etc. The width and height of the elements content are determined by the CSS properties like width and height. We have written this. Correct? Now we have seen what do you mean by padding. We are just noting it down, right? We already have seen all these things by means of code. Padding is the space between the content and the elements border. It provides internal spacing within the element. You can adjust using the padding property. You can adjust the padding using the padding property. So you can set the padding for each four sides like padding top, padding right, padding left, padding bottom. So here you can say padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left. Correct? Properties like width and height. Now what is border? Border surrounds the padding. The border surrounds the padding and defines the visible boundary of the element. This one. Around the content there is a padding, and around, if there is a padding, if there is no padding, border would be straight away from here, correct? If you, in all the cases you don't require padding. The border surrounds the padding and content defines a visible boundary for the element. You can set the border's thickness, style and the color using the border property. 1px solid red, 2px solid black, right? Thickness, style and the color. Similar to the padding, you can set the individual borders for each side, border left, border right. But if you want to set at the all four sides, only border is the thing. Margin. What is the margin? Can you tell me? How do you define the margin? The space between element's border and the adjacent element, which are nothing but the border. It seems, see, it provides the external spacing and controls the distance between the elements. It provides external spacing. You can set the margin using margin property. Like padding and the border, you can have individual properties like margin top, margin right, margin bottom and margin left. Okay. Correct? And let's add a little example of all these things. Code, we can copy our this code, SQR. Box model, CSS box model. So I have pushed it into the document. If you want to check it, you can check it. Let me push the code as well. CSS box model. Okay. Any questions? I have pushed the code as well as I have pushed into the Notion notebook as well. CSS3, CSS dimensions, dimension units. If you have any question, go ahead and ask me.
Yes,
So when you talk about the CSS units, like the pixel, there are a lot of other units. Like the pixel, there are other units, and there are certain rules when to use these units and when not to use these units. So we will discuss all those details. We will discuss all those details shortly. CSS3 dimensions unit. What are the different dimensions available in the CSS3? Okay. So CSS, I'm again and again saying CSS3, but you don't know what exactly CSS3 is. dimensions. CSS dimensions. So when you talk about the dimensions, what do you mean by dimension? Consider that this is one element, and consider that this is another element. This is one element and this is another element, right? So one scenario I'm telling, how to define distance between these two elements. What are the different possibilities we have? What is the distance between this unit and this unit, right? Or you want to apply the border. You can apply border in the different ways. So pixel are there, REMs are there, EMs are there, and a lot of things are available over there. So how these two things, or how these things are performed, or what units are used for defining these things, is called as CSS dimensions. Correct? These things are called as dimensions. Dimensions can be defined in the different units. And what are those units that we will talk about now? So CSS offers, here you can say, CSS offers various units of measurement. CSS offers various units of measurement that allow you to specify dimensions such as length, width, height, padding, margin, etc. for the web pages, for the elements on the web page. These units help control the sizing and the spacing of the element. Can you see sizing? Sizing and the spacing of the elements, making your designs flexible and responsive. So let's forget about this flexible and responsive. Here is an overview of the common CSS dimension units. Common CSS dimension units. Just a minute. Just a minute. Now there are two types of the dimensions. First, absolute dimensions. First, what? Absolute units. Absolute units. Absolute units. These units are based on fixed and absolute measurements. These units are based on fixed absolute measurements and are not adaptable to the responsive design. So what is a responsive design? We'll talk about that later on. Or they are generally used when you need precise. I'm getting noise from your end. Hello? They are generally used when you need precise control over element sizes, or when dealing with the physical measurements. These are based on fixed absolute measurements and are not adaptable by responsive designs. Responsive design means that if you are developing a website, your website should be working fine on tablet, computer screens, laptops, mobiles, and other devices. Responsive. They should adapt according to the dimensions of device. That can be mobile, that can be anything. Hello?
Yes,
Absolute, such units are fixed based on the fixed and absolute measurements, and they are not responsive design. Right? Now, let us see few absolute units. Pixels, that is px. Then inches, in. Centimeters, these are fixed, cm. Then millimeters, that is mm. Then points, pt. Picas, that is pc. Points, picas, pt. Then there are relative units. Then there are relative units. What do you mean by relative units? Okay, we'll go to the relative unit. I will come back to the relative units. Just a minute. Let me define it first. Relative units are the responsive and adapt to the context, making them highly useful for creating layouts that work well across the different screen sizes and devices. Remember that absolute units are not meant for various screen sizes and the devices, but the relative units will change or adapt them accordingly as per the device. Okay, this is the main difference between absolute unit and the relative unit. Is it clear? Okay, now what do you mean by pixels? Represents, we will see what are the relative units shortly. Represents a fixed number of screen pixels commonly used for control over the element sizes, precise control over the element sizes. Now your screen is made up of different very small pixel units, right? So when you say 2px, so 2px from the left you are going to say, so actual physical pixels, 2 pixels from the left would be physical 2 pixels from the left would be considered. Hello?
yes, sir.
Then inches, physical inches represents physical inches. Remember that? Represents physical inches, less commonly used in the web design due to the lack of responsiveness. Physical inches. How do you calculate the inches physically? Same inches would be used over here. Centimeters represents the physical centimeters on the scale, similar to the inches and less commonly used in the web design. Millimeters, these are also physical millimeters, right? Points represents a typographical measurement, and it is more used in the print media. Represents points, a typographical measurement, used less frequently in the web design and more in the print related style, printing media. Represent picas, here you can say another typographical, so these two are related, used in the print media, right? So generally we use pixels from this, and not even inches, centimeters, millimeters. Correct? So we frequently use the relative units. Why? We use the relative units because they are adaptive to the screen devices. As per the screen, they are going to change. Relative units are the responsive and adapt the context, making them highly useful for creating the layouts that work well across the different screen sizes. Right? So first unit is percentage. First unit is the percentage. Viewport unit. EM. EM. Element. EM is a reference to the parent element. Root element, REM. Auto. It's not a unit but a value. Auto is not a unit but value. See now percentage. Now see. So when you talk about the relative, it is relative to someone. Relative to self, relative to parent, or relative to another unit. Relative to self, relative to parent, or relative to another element. Hello? Relative units. So when you say relative units, it is relative to something. No percentage. See, a relative to the parent element size, and usually in the responsive web design, see, relative to parent element size and used for the responsive layout. Percentage, 20% of the parent, 20% of the body, right? Main section is a 20% of the body. Viewport units, viewport units. So these guys are related to something this. So it is the correct time to discuss this part. We will discuss this part shortly. But can you see viewport units? Viewport means what? A visible section where website is loaded. That is the viewport. So that visible section can be tablet, that visible section can be your mobile phone or computer screen or laptop screen, whatever. So as per that, number is going to be changed automatically, right? Relative to a viewport's dimensions, a great for creating the responsive designs that adapt to the screen sizes. Now, element EM, a root EM, current element. See, relative font size. So generally it is used for the fonts EM, REM, useful for the scalable typography and maintaining the consistent spacing. REM, root element size. R stands for root. REM, relative to the root element font size. Root element means body or whatever root is, relative to the font size of the just parent element. Ideal for consistent spacing across the page. Auto, not a unit itself, but it's a dimension, it's a value. Auto is not a unit. Remember that the percentage is unit, viewport is unit. Auto is not a unit, but it decides automatically. Okay, that's why we are understanding it in the relative units. These are the viewport units. EM, a parent element. REM, root element. Auto is a value rather than unit, but it works in magical way. Dimension units. So let's use it. Let's use it. Now let's go here, new file, dim.html, and here we can say new file, dim.css, dim.html, dimension units, import the CSS, dim.css, main, okay. Now let's have a div over here, and let's have another div over here. So we can say fst dot or half width. Now see, I'm giving you 50% width, 50%, and can you see here we have a body tag, we have a main tag, body. Let's go here, body, HTML tag, comma, body tag. So multiple tags can be written like this. I want width as 100 VW, viewport width. So whatever is the viewport, I told you what do you mean by viewport. A visible section where website is loaded, viewport width, height 100 VW, sorry, VH, viewport height, and background color, I will give a little color over here so that you will understand something had actually happened. So just remove this, day 7, and in a day 7 we need to have dim.html. Can you see little faint color has been added to the HTML tag and the body tag. Can you see the width of the HTML tag? If I comment all these things and if I go here and refresh it, see there is nothing, which means that or just keep background color, okay, and width and height I will remove. Presently it will come, it will appear 100 and 100, but it is a good practice, remember that it's a very good practice to add 100 VW. 100 VW means 100% kind of thing. Height means 100% of the, it's not a percent, 100% of the viewport, 100% of the viewport height, 100% height of the viewport, 100% width of the viewport. Correct? If you see here, HTML body, width, height, background color, viewport width, viewport height. Exactly here we can use it. And now you can say half. So here I can say class. Now to this main also, we can create one class called as container dot main container. And now see width is 100%. Width is 100%. See, and I can give a border. I can give border 1px solid black. Okay, we didn't apply the class main container. Just copy this class, and here I can say class main container and refresh it. Okay, see there is a reason over here. There is no content inside this. one more thing I would like to show you. So if I say 30 VH, see what happens. HTML body dim.css body main container black. Yeah, can you see 30 VH or 3 VH? Okay. Okay, now see here, and height I will say 30%. Can you see only this much? 30% means only this much. Now if I comment out this guy, can you see there is no height? See, you have applied height as 30%, but root element is not given any specific height. Instead of this background color, we can say border and 1 px solid red. Now if you see, only this much is the, see here. So because of this background color, there was a confusion, right? There was a confusion. Actually, there is no height is getting applied. So this background color is because of this HTML guy. If just try it now, just remove the HTML and just keep body. Okay. So to whole and soul body tag, it is getting, this color is getting applied, body, and to the HTML tag. So this is a good practice that HTML and body tag need to be given the specific width and height. See, for the reason, so I want this main container to be the 30% of the total height. But your parent, who is a parent of main? So we are applying class to this. So parent of main is body. So to the parent of main, explicitly height is not given. Explicitly height is not given. So it is not considering, can you see, it is not considering any height. Hello? Is it clear what happens if you remove height of the whole parent? So it is a recommended practice to set width and height to the parent, specific width and height to the parent. If you don't do this thing, so there won't be any problem on the width. I'm just commenting out the width. But here if you see, this is a full width. So there is no concern with the width. There is no concern with the width. But concern arises when you use the height. And that's why you need to set height explicitly. Width you can skip sometimes. If you want to give 100%, that is okay. But it's always good idea to give width and height to the top level containers, HTML and body. So these are the top level containers, and can you see automatically? And see there is a red border also. Can you see that there is a red border as well? Hello? There is a little red border we have. So I will remove this border. So if you see this, so your main container is of 30%. Main container is of 30% of the total height. Main container is of 30% of the total height. Is it clear? See, this is a main container. So body is having 100 VH height. 100 VH means what? Whatever is visible on the screen, whatever portion is visible on the screen, all that portion, whatever portion is visible on the screen, all that portion. Correct? 100% means what? All that portion. Now, out of that, main would be acquiring 100%, Main is a container. Presently it's a 30%, but technically we will make it here instead of height 30%, it's a 100%. Now go to the documentation. Again, what is the percent or relative to the parent element size? So who is a parent? Relative to the parent size. Can you see? Main relative to the parent size. Width relative to the parent. Who is the parent of the main? Body. What's the width of the body? 100 VW. So 100% would be getting occupied by the main. Okay, again see, height 100. Relative to the parent's height. Who is the parent of main? Body. Who is the parent of main? Who is the parent of main? Body. So height 100 VH means complete vertical height and vertical width. Sorry, viewport width and viewport height. Width means what? Horizontal. Height means what? Vertical. So 100% of the vertical. So who is the parent of body? Main. Body. If you look at the percentage relative to the parent element, do not forget relative to the parent element. And remember about height. Height needs to be specified explicitly. So this is important. Height should be given explicitly. Height should be given explicitly. If you don't give height, right? If you don't give height, if you are not providing height, remember that this height won't be getting considered. This height would be 0 because here is the 0. So 100% of 0 is 0. Correct? Okay. Now, so half we can say 1 and another half we can say, another half we can say 2 second, and here I can give background color as cadet blue, and here I can give background color as chocolate. So here we can apply class. Now see, width is 50% and let's give height say 20%, and here also height let's give 20%. So class half 1, again class half 2. Go here and refresh it. Can you see half 1, half 2? Half 1, half 2. Main container 100 VW. Half 1, half 2. Can you see these are the two divs? Half 1, half 2. See here, half 1, half 2. Can you see that? 20%, 20%. Total becomes 40%. So this much would be the 40%, right? If we make 25, 25, exactly 50%. See, 25, 25, exactly 50%. Can you see that? Hello? Now, okay. Refresh it. So here if you see, this is 50%. This is width is 50%, height is 20%. Now what do you mean by responsive? It is not a responsive. Can you see here? I will select a second icon. Can you see responsive icon? Can you see toggle device toolbar? Toggle device toolbar. I'm clicking over here. Now see the 50% remaining and presently here you can see how it will look on the iPhone standard edition, how it will look on this iPhone XR 12 Pro Pixel device. Can you see? As per the device, it is correctly 50%. This is 50% height. This is also 50% height. And if you don't want to check device wise, iPad Air, iPad Mini, right? If you don't want to check standard devices, and if you want to check custom responsiveness, can you see here you can change height? See, that is becoming exactly 50%, right? No matter how much width and height you are changing, no matter how much width and height you are changing, the 50% is exactly 50% on any screen sizes. Can you see that? 50% is 50% on any screen size. So here you are changing width of the screen, here you are changing height of the screen. But if you have observed, width is exactly 50% on any screen size. Any screen size. Height is exactly 50% on any screen size. Let's give it in the pixel form now. What happens in the pixel? So I will keep these two things as it is. Now in height we will change it, say 300 pixels, and we will just check on the height. 300 pixels, half 1 and half 2 internal units. Refresh it. Can you see? Now it is not, can you see, pixels are physical units. It is not becoming responsive. Width is responsive, but height it is not working. Your height is getting changed accordingly. So you have said height as 300 pixels. This is 300 pixels. This is 300 pixels, right? So that will remain physical 300 pixels on any screen size. It will not change accordingly. So here I just have changed height from 20% to, 25% to a physical unit, any physical unit or absolute unit, 25% here. And here also 25%. See now we have given a relative unit. Percent is relative to the parent. See, 50% is remaining 50%, 25% is remaining 25% on all screen sizes. Correct? But the minute you go to the absolute unit, that is a pixel, percent is a relative unit, pixel is an absolute unit. I'm spending too much time on this section because this is very important. Can you see? 300 pixels are the 300 pixels. They will not change as per the screen width and height. Can you see that? They will not change as per the screen dimension. See, we are applying the width, height, and 300 remains 300. It doesn't occupy as per the device width and height. Correct? Any questions? So this is the absolute unit. This is the relative unit. There are different units. So let's talk about font also. So we can say paragraph, and this is 1, this is 2, and we can say to the paragraph we can apply the font size, say 1 EM. You can give 1 px also or 10 px, but font size is given in the EM or REMs. Okay, refresh it. Can you see pixel becomes pixel? 10 px means 10 px on all devices. It is not getting changed. Can you see this? 10px are 10px. But as per the device width and height, your font also need to be changed. On the mobile, h1 should be different, and on the desktop h1 should be different. Correct? If you want to apply that, here also you need to use the relative unit 1 em. 1 em. Now refresh it. See now. And if you see, it will little bit impacted on the device width and height. What is a em? When you talk about em, relative to the font size of the parent element. Who is the parent of this? This main. So whatever font size of this main is there, it is relative. So this font size will change from this. The font size of this will change as per the font size of this, whatever you have set over here. Correct? So if I give something like this font size, I'm just giving you one thing, 2 em. Now see, this is the 2 em. Em means what? Relative to the parent. Who is the parent of this? Okay, this P. Who is the parent of this P? This section. Okay. Now let's go here and do the section. Font size 2 em. So this 1 em is dependent on this 2 em. Can you see little bit higher? Earlier, so if I comment this out, 1 em is different. See now. Can you see? If I comment this out 1 em, I am not changing this one, but I am changing, I am just adding section, and here I can say font size 3 em. Okay. Now refresh it. Can you see little bit higher? So this is dependent on font size, relative unit. Em is a em. So if I remove this guy, it is altogether different. A default font size of section would be considered. But if you have given some 3 em, so this 1 em with respect to this 3 em. Getting my point? 1 em is respect to this 3 em parent element. If you attach rem, root element, now see, still it is fixed. Can you see? Still it is fixed. Now instead of em, I have said rem. What is the rem? Root element. What is rem? Root element. So who is the root element of this P? Root element, not the parent element. This is a P. Who is the root element? Body. So if you apply, just try applying, and that's why font is applied at the top level, 3 em. Okay, now refresh it. Can you see a little bit higher? Root element. So em stands for the parent element, relative to the parent element. Rem stands for relative to the root element. Right? Is it clear?
Yes.
So generally for the fonts, we use ems and the root ems. Now see, it is little bit higher, bigger, correct? But on the mobile it should be smaller. So this is how these dimension units work. Let me push the code. CSS dimensions units. I have pushed the code. Now there are few things There are few things. So we will come back to our main question. What is 3 inside the CSS? What is 3 inside the CSS? So here we can say, what is CSS3? It's a big topic. Lot of things have been added. So CSS3 is the third major version of the cascading style sheet language. In this context, the 3 simply represents the version number. Version number. CSS3 builds upon the previous CSS version along with the new features. CSS3 builds upon the previous versions of the CSS, adding new features, properties, and the capabilities to enhance the styling and the presentation of the web pages. It is the enhancement, right? So what are the features of the CSS3? Main features here are main features of CSS3. Number list, enhanced styling, few more properties like border properties there have been added, better layout controls, grid layout and the flex layout has been added. Responsive design, media queries have been added. Animations and the transition effects newly have been added. Custom fonts, new fonts have been added. Multiple backgrounds and the borders. Advanced CSS selectors. So yesterday we have seen 3 selectors. What are that? What CSS selectors we have seen yesterday?
External, embedded, and inline.
I'm saying CSS selectors. What CSS selectors we have seen yesterday?
Element, element selector, and class selector, and ID selector.
So you have said something in the beginning. What was that?
There is a
So you have answered something else. What was? So
there is a type sheet.
types of the CSS, right? How do you add the CSS? You can add the CSS in the 3 ways. And what are the 3 ways?
External type sheet, embedded, and inline.
Okay. Now, enhanced styling. CSS3 introduces a wide range of new properties. CSS3 introduces wide range of new properties and features that allow developers to create more complex and visually appealing styles for the web elements. New layouts like flexbox, grid layout. New layout systems have been there, such as flexbox, grid. More sophisticated control over the layout and positioning of the element. Responsive designs, media queries. Media queries came into the picture. We are going to see all these things. Animations and the transitions. CSS3 introduces new animations and the transitions without using JavaScript. Without using JavaScript is very important. Custom fonts. We can create our own fonts. That is the add font face rule in the CSS3 allows web developers to use their custom fonts, right, by expanding the typography option beyond the standard web font, multiple backgrounds and the borders. CSS3 allows to have multiple background images, borders, and enhancing. See, CSS3 allows elements to have multiple background images, borders, enhancing design possibilities. Advanced selectors. So 3 selectors we have seen. We can have a lot of other selectors in the CSS3. We will see shortly. Rounded corners and the shadows. These are also part of the features. So these things have been added. Media queries. Very important thing. As far as responsiveness is concerned, media queries are important. Media queries in the CSS3 allow developers to apply the styles based on the characteristics of the device. That's what the responsiveness. As per the device, it should adopt the thing. Transparency and the opacity. So these also things have been added newly in the CSS3. Properties for controlling the transparency and the opacity of the elements, making it easier to create visually layered designs. So when you talk about CSS3, 3 is the third revision of the CSS, and primarily there are a lot of other features as well, but primarily these things have been added in CSS3. These things are added in CSS3. Correct? Hello? So these things have been added in the CSS3. I have pushed the code and completed the document as well. Just go through that. So these are few features in the CSS3. Box element is very important. Box element is important. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. Just go through it. And if you get any questions, you can ask me. Okay, something related to the text, little important. Page text properties, important. I'm not covering all of them, but important text properties. So first, so there are a lot of text properties we have. CSS provides variety of the text related properties. And first we are going to see that is related to the alignment. New file, text prop dot text prop HTML. Text prop HTML, text prop dot CSS. Okay, go to the HTML file, text properties. Text properties. Format the document. Let's have a main section. And here we can say a paragraph. Hello world. So first we can create a class and say sizing. We can say SZ, and here we can say font size larger. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Font size larger. Text prop.html. We didn't, I think, import the CSS. Link rel CSS, and here we can say text prop.css. Refresh it. What happened? Class we didn't apply. Class SZ. A little bit larger. Now to the P, to the element selector P, border 1px solid red. 1px solid. Can you see this much is your paragraph? Yes or no? Now what I wanted to do, I want to align text at center. I want to align text at left, right, center. Okay, so I can say dot txt al n align. So text align, by default it's at the left, so it will stay here at the left hand side. Text align center. Text align txt aln, or instead of creating separate class, just do it in the P only. Okay, so we don't need to apply the class again and again. Can you see it is at the center? If you see at the right, it would be at the end. Can you see? So alignment of the text can be done by using text align. So let's make it center. Then I want to change the color color, we can say blue. Can you see blue color at the center? Correct? Now what we need to do, letter spacing. Letter spacing, 2 pixels. The spacing between the letters, can you see there is little spacing, or 1 or 0.5 em, little too away, spacing between the letters, 0.2 em, correct, and 0.1 em. Can you see letter spacing? If you want to give the spacing between the letter, that is nothing but that part. Now word spacing, let's have one more word. Hello world, how are you working? CSS fine, it's okay. So these many words are there. So there is a word spacing also. Letter spacing, word spacing, 12px. Can you see word spacing? There is a extra space between the words. Hello? Now text alignment we have seen. Now what we need to do? One more paragraph we would be having. And okay, and text decoration is the class. Now if you want to see, open this alongside, just click over here, and here we can say text decoration underline. If you do underline, refresh it, can you see, you'll see the underline over here. Then overline, and can you see this line above the text, you will find underline, overline, and you can say underline, overline, line through, strike through, line through, in the between, under, over, line through. Then we can have blink, text decoration, blink. So blink will not work. We'll see why blink will not work. But there is one decoration called as blinking effect, and that can be applied over the blink. Blink will not work. There is a reason. We'll talk about that little bit later on. But here, these are few important properties for text alignment, right? I hope you have understood the session. So next topics we will see tomorrow. Okay, CSS3 text alignment or text properties. Okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. We will conclude today's session by completing this document. So color, first property is the color. Then another font family, font size, text align. There are a lot of properties available over there. Text decoration, letter spacing, line spacing, word spacing, and a lot of other things are there that we will see time to time. Okay, so when you say color, if you want to give a color to the text, that is the color. Specifies color to the text. Font family defines the font or font stack to be used. Just try this. This is a homework. Try this. So there are a lot of other text properties. You may try all of them. Text align. Align the text horizontally. Text decoration, like underline, line through, overline. Letter spacing. Adjust the space between the individual letters. Adjust the space between, or controls the space between the words. See, for the image, for the text, we have seen the properties. So these properties are available for the image also. So we are going to do that thing tomorrow. I will create a new page, image properties. Image properties. I will share few of them. You will write, you will find out and use many of them. Fine, let's call it for a day. We'll meet tomorrow 10 a.m. sharp. Okay? Yeah, thank you.